Hello and welcome to the Mortal Kombat Minute, the podcast where we analyze, criticize, and memorialize the 1995 film Mortal Kombat, one thunderous minute at a time. I'm Phil Casper from philcasper.net.
I'm Spanish from GameFixShow.com.
And we are on minute number 40. This minute starts with Rayden talking to our heroes about what they will go up against in the tournament, and ends with Shang Tsung addressing the crowd about how his island will be their battleground. Now I'm laughing just a little bit because on our video feed, Spanish has a little bit of a different hat than what he normally wears. He has the trademark Rayden Cooley hat on.
I do.
He was able to find it in his garage, right?
Yes, it was sitting in there. I don't know why I have it. I'm actually very, very glad I do have it.
Very appropriate for this minute.
Yes, I'm gracing everybody with this minute with wearing the hat. How's that? Was it good?
That is great.
All right, good. Okay,
well, then it's appropriate because we have this scene starting off with Rayden walking down.
Of course.
In the garden of statues. He's
right,
not
right.
wearing his Cooley hat, unfortunately.
Well, let's go back first. So we left off from minute 39, and it was pretty much about there was a bunch of guys about to attack the three heroes, and Rayden kind of put a stop to it. And Johnny Cage said, "You guys are lucky he stopped us." Yeah.
As Rayden's leading them out of the cave system
into the garden, as we put it before. So we are back into the original entranceway when they first came to the castle.
Exactly. Yes, and we start off with Rayden just trying to make small talk, I guess, a little bit, or trying to like lead our heroes on, saying, "So now you've seen what you'll be facing in the tournament." And,
yes, right.
And then Sonya replies,
"You mean Goro?"
Yep. And Shang Tsung. Rayden is quick to reply on there.
And then, of course, Liu Kang then follows it up with, "Will Shang Tsung fight in the tournament?" But I have a feeling you have something to say before we move on.
Yes, because as they're walking down the hallway, the pathway here, you mentioned last minute about those statues flanking either side of the pathway, and I think we've talked about them in a previous minute as well when we first saw them in minute 30, I believe, when Shang Tsung was walking down, and I actually have an updated theory on what these things are.
Okay, all right. Hit.
I don't think they're actually statues. I think they are actually they're literally mummified monks that are now placed almost as statues in place.
It's kind of what I said last show.
Well, I was hesitant to believe you until I realized, and I was like I was on my way to work this morning, and I wanted to watch a little bit on TikTok, and I found a guy, he's at Death Science on TikTok. He made an educational video about these types of mummified monks, that is called the I hope I can pronounce this right, the Sokushin Butsu.
Better not get right.
Yeah. So they are mummified Buddhist monks that practice an extreme form of asceticism. I hope I pronounced that right as well, which is basically denying yourself of any type of sensual pleasure in your life. So they take it to the extreme in that they slowly basically deny themselves various forms of pleasurable food until they ultimately become mummies themselves. And this practice or this process takes about 9 years, and 6 of which they're alive for. The 3 they're turning themselves into mummies.
Wow.
And yeah, and so this death science gentleman goes into it in depth, but there are basically like four stages that these monks would go through. Is that they would first start off with like a vegan diet for like a couple of years, then they'd move to just eating pine needles, seeds, and nuts. Then they actually moved to eating the roots, bark, and sap from a specific type of tree that was toxic, and that would start to make that was so their bodies, if they started to decompose, like it would keep insects from trying to further the decomposition and repel insects. And then after a few months of that type of diet, then they just went straight into a tomb by themselves with a breathing tube and a bell. And then they would just sit like basically cross-legged in the tomb by themselves, ringing the bell once a day. And on the day that the bell did not ring, the other monks presumed him to be dead. So then they sealed off the tomb and then didn't open it again for about 3 years after that.
Whoa.
Which then like would, during that time, their body would become mummified and dehydrated and everything like that. But anyway, all that to say, that's what I think those statues are.
So I was right, kind of.
Yeah, you were right.
Wow. Okay. Well,
just by pure happenstance, I just did not know it until I just saw this random video on TikTok. So,
well, that's very interesting. That might be the most interesting thing that has happened on this show yet. I was like engaged, so I would imagine other people would be. Maybe it's the hat. Maybe it's the hat.
Maybe. But speaking of engaged, who else is engaged? Liu Kang, because he's wondering about, will Shang Tsung fight in the tournament?
Of course. Then Rayden then replies, well, if he chooses to. And then he goes on by saying, as a former champion, he has the right to do so. And he is far more dangerous than Goro. And it says, his powers come from the souls of vanquished warriors. And then he says, to fight Shang Tsung is to face not one, but a legion of adversaries. And then one of the best parts of this 1 minute scene, remember that.
Yeah, with a crackle of lightning and thunder going on. The whole
Did he do that?
I don't know. I'm wondering because like during this whole scene while they're walking and talking, there's like rolling thunder in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, okay, this has to be Rayden like summoning this.
There's no rain.
There is no rain. Yeah, it's all just thunder and lightning. That's all it is. No rain. But
interesting.
Between some of these points, like even when he says that Shang Tsung is even more dangerous than Goro, there's like a little bit of a dramatic thunder roll in there.
Yeah.
And then of course, it comes to more of a crescendo when he tells Liu Kang to remember that, almost to solidify his point. Like, hey, you better take this seriously.
This one's on you. Yeah, pretty much. And then, okay, so you got to tell me.
Yeah.
They start then walking away after that. Remember that when he points at him, right?
And we have this wide shot.
We have the wide garden, right? And then we have the line delivered from Rayden that says, "Tomorrow the tournament begins. Be prepared." Now tell me, did he say it during that scene, or was that a voiceover clip? I say it was a voiceover. That clip, that audio clip, was added later.
Probably.
That's what I'm thinking.
Thinking back to it, probably.
Well, I tried to get as close as I could. It's kind of hard to like, and it didn't look like his mouth was moving.
Yeah, that's just some of the movie magic that they throw into it. But even then, like during this wide of a shot, well, they may have taken the audio from the previous shot, and then subbed it over into this wide shot, I guess.
Because the audio still sounded the same as that scene.
Right.
So, okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
so
maybe.
But it was still, the audio was dubbed in. That's what I'm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement there. Now I do want to like keep on this wide shot for just a second though. Because I think we're in agreement from previous minutes that these are past champions, I think, or at least very significant fighters.
Yes.
That have fought in Mortal Kombat over the years.
I would say so.
the centuries. I count in this shot 9 statues.
Okay.
And one thing that was interesting, at least to me, was that, oh, we actually see a new part of the garden that we hadn't seen previously. So if you remember back the first time that we saw this garden, it was back in minute 30 when Shang Tsung
Right.
is walking out after he gives his first speech. But we only see the pathway that he walks down to go into the cave system where he later meets up with Goro.
Right.
And we only saw like a tight shot of that. Now that we see this wider shot, we see that the path actually forks, and a pathway is leading to the left that goes to some stairs. Now
Yep.
I have an idea of where these stairs go, but I'm gonna save that for a later minute,
Ooh,
because
like it.
I'm pretty sure I know what these stairs go to. And
I see 10 statues, by the way.
you see 10. Where
There's
I wonder where the
there's
10th
one
is.
right in the frame, like right close. If I don't know if that's the one you missed.
No, that's the one I counted.
You
The one in
definitely
the
count.
on the left side of the frame.
Yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, maybe that might not be. That could be rock. All right, I'll give you 9. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you.
But yeah,
That's fair.
but yeah, that's just one thing that I wanted to note about this wide shot before we go into a scene transition. It fades and we get this fantastic outside beautiful shot of a mountainside, or so we think. Like it's not only a mountainside, but it looks like just
Looks
like
like the
a
castle.
castle face. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think. Well, I mean, because they had to walk upstairs to get to it, so I'm guessing that is the castle. That is Shang Tsung's castle.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing about it is we really get the best look at it in this scene, and what it looks like. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but what it looks like is the castle wasn't built, as opposed it was actually like
Carved.
carved,
Yeah. Oh
right?
yeah. No. Yeah. Definitely. For
Totally.
for sure. And it just and once again, like this is such a short shot though, because like as soon as we see and start to process, the mountain face and the castle that's actually carved out of it,
Yeah.
we start to pan down the mountainside, past what I think is like a short bridge that is going between,
Yeah.
like a chasm there, and then down to a forested area, and then finally palm trees and this fighting ring that's filled with sand.
Could that bridge, something that actually just came to mind, I didn't even have this written down, could that bridge be the pit stage?
It could be. It could
Hmm.
it could be a different take on the pit stage.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. Although I do like where your mind is going, because because we're talking about Mortal Kombat battle arenas, and I'm thinking that this scene that we're coming up on, especially when we have this wide shot outside, I'm thinking this is a play off of Shang Tsung's courtyard
Yeah, I can see that.
in the first Mortal Kombat game. And if we stay on this wide shot for a little bit here, where all the fighters are starting to line up and go across the
Like
border of the
congregation.
yeah
Yeah.
the border of the fighting arena. I don't know if you see those pillars of rock
Mhm,
on the
I do.
left hand side. I was like, just while I was taking notes, I'm like, I'm wondering what those were. Were those like for, like, was that like a housing area? Or better yet, if this was, I'm thinking based off of Shang Tsung's courtyard, maybe it was like the ancient remains of the original stands that the crowds of monks would file into and sit on, with Shang Tsung or whoever's presiding over the
I guess it could
the
be.
tournament in the middle. So I'm thinking, maybe not. I
Maybe
don't know.
maybe they're gravestones.
Maybe they're gravestones. Those are very tall gravestones, but
I mean, I've seen a tall gravestone. I know you have
okay.
too.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, I don't know. I'm saying it because I think it might be, not because I know. So, yeah.
Right. And so yeah, so that's kind of all I wanted to say about like this wider shot
Yeah.
on here. Then we transition down to a point of view where we're actually standing in the ring, facing towards Shang Tsung, an unknown fighter, and Liu Kang in the foreground with his back to the camera. He has a very muscly shirt on.
Before we got to that point, we got a close up of Shang Tsung.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot to.
I wanted to point out the close up. You see, what's the bird? Feathers.
Peacock feathers. Yeah,
like behind him to make it look. I don't know. It kind of gives it that. I don't know. It's almost tacky,
yeah,
but
very,
like,
very pompous, very ornamental, almost in a way. Type of but I mean, like it's
the gong.
It's
the gong
to be the first fight, though. That's the thing.
Yeah. Well, that's true. That's
but
true.
Yeah, and the gong behind him. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And once we do get to the zoomed out scene where he's standing, right above him is a piece of material, covering him from the sun,
like a
I would
tarp,
say.
a tarp, a shade, something.
But it is the Mortal Kombat dragon. So if I could find that tarp, I would pay a lot of money for it. How's that?
Yes, I was thinking that exact same thought. I'm like, I love that tarp so much.
Oh yeah.
I hope they, that's on somebody, some producer's wall somewhere or something.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But I also want to note during this shot, just because I like to count shadow priests, there are at least 12 shadow priests in this shot, interspersed through the crowd and right in front of Shang Tsung's little platform there.
At first, I thought they were little kids, but then I had to remind myself that they're actually like the ring or whatever that they're in is actually
elevated.
High.
Yeah,
elevated. Yes, that's the word. So I was like, okay, they're not children. I got it.
Right. And if you look closely, you can kind of see half of Sonya Blade in the background, like kind of in between Liu Kang and our unknown fighter. I'm going to get more into our unknown fighter in the next minute. That's why I'm not really naming him yet.
Oh, I could totally name him, but yeah, we could do that.
Well, I say we kind of save that for the next.
Let's save it. I like it.
But because we have like one final shot here, and that's another close-up of Shang Tsung delivering the final line of this minute. Would you like to do the honors, Spanish?
Of course I would. From this moment on, my island will be your battleground.
And as he's surveying the crowd. Yeah. And I just like that idea of like, you know what? Now it's Mortal Kombat Hunger Games, go survive, fight.
It kind of is. Yeah. It totally is.
Or war, like this is Warzone now. This is my island is your war zone. Go and
that leather jacket, man. That is
that trench.
Every time I see it, I'm like, It's
although
so cool.
Everyone else is just either bare chested or having muscle shirts, and he's here in like fully decked out black leather. And I'm like, how does he not get hot in all that?
He's a sorcerer. He can do whatever he wants.
Fair enough. You know what? That's a great point, Spanish.
He can do everything he wants. So. Well, that's all I have with and just to mention, the two fighters are Liu Kang being one of them, is holding bow staffs.
Oh yes, yeah.
Gotta throw in that Ninja Turtle little line again.
For sure. Yeah. Thanks for mentioning that. I totally forgot.
Yep.
Well, with that though, that's all I have.
That's all I have as well.
All right. Well, thanks again for making it through one more minute with us, and we'll see you. Almost forgot my sign off. Oh my gosh.
Look, okay, try that again. Go.
I'm Phil.
I'm Spanish.
And we'll see you next time on the Mortal Kombat Minute.
Minute.